Hey everybody, it's Altamir here, and today we are going to be kind of going over and watching the live stream, but I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm splitting this up into a few different videos just so I don't make like a 5 hour long video. Doesn't really strike me as appealing. So let's just dive right into it. This first one going to be about the PvP test that they're getting into, so let's go.
Back. Alrighty. First thing let's talk about something that Matt mentioned in his end of year letter in December was Cyrodiil. We know that we need to kind of address what's going on in Cyrodiil once and for all. So we're gonna have Brian Wheeler on right now, actually, to talk about what we are doing in update 45 to kind of prepare for some of this stuff.
I'm assuming I'm on the camera right now.
You are.
Okay,
you
good.
are live and ready to go. I love your cozy fire back there.
It's a little, it's that time of year. But yeah, we're getting ready to do some crazy stuff in Cyrodiil. So, I want to do a quick little correction here. You said a lot of the stuff is going to be available on PTS next week. What we're showing off here is going to be available the second week of PTS. So. Okay. Just to be clear for
You're right. You're right.
Yep. That's all good. It's all good. So we'll just talk about what this insanity is. We are going to be testing performance at a very different level with this test. We've been nicknaming this thing Cyrodiil Champions, but in game, when you bring up the campaign window, you're going to see a new campaign that's called Vengeance.
Do you want me to swap over so people can see your screen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Awesome. No, it's all good.
Here we go.
Yeah. So in game, there's this thing called Vengeance. It's another campaign. But basically, what we're trying to do with this test is really nail down the complexity of abilities and see how many people we can get into a fight. Like the goal for this is to get as many people into Cyrodiil as possible, sort of reflecting that other test we had recently where we were just like blow out the cap and let's see what happens. And we started to see that, even with the new hardware, with the complexity of our abilities and everything that is trying to push through the pipeline, we were still running into, performance issues. So this test is really meant to tackle that head on, which is going to be a big change for a lot of people, especially once you get into Cyrodiil. So again, the main goal is to try and get as many people into Cyrodiil as we can, way above the population caps that we have now. And we hope to accomplish this in as big a fashion as we possibly can. So we're going to only have one campaign up and running when this is active as well. On PTS, we're not really going to be looking at numbers and how many people we can get in there, because we really know that the live experience on the live service is where we really get the mass amount of players in there. And that's what we're going to be pushing for.
Right. So on the PTS, this is effectively a functionality test ahead of doing the test on live, right?
Making sure it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the functionality of this is the reason we're doing an initial test on Cyrodiil on PTS is because there's a lot that changes with your character with this test. So, initially, obviously you can see, we've changed the Sky Dome in Cyrodiil to show like this is an event. This only happens in this one campaign. Things will be highly different. You can see, I got my skill bar at the bottom, but what you put into those are similar but different and also way, way toned back. A good example of this is strikes or sweeps. You can see with this, it only does damage in an area. It doesn't do the other stuff that sweeps does that everybody's used to, where it does damage, slows things down and heals you, or it does a debuff. Lots of abilities are highly modified to be way simpler, way less taxing on the calculations that the server has to go through. And you're also seeing that there's only the 3 skill lines that you have. And not everybody's going to be a Templar. When you zone in as the class that you are, but you get a highly modified version of that class. You'll see that there's no passives, there's no weapon lines, there's no guild lines. Again, this is all trying to get abilities and the calculations that go on the server to be as simple as possible, to be able to have as many people as possible going in there.
Yeah, and I
Right,
just
and I
want
see some
to
people ask.
probably the
Go
same
ahead.
thing. Go ahead, Jess.
Oh, I would see some people asking, why are we doing this on live? And it's kind of to reiterate what you said, Brian. We need to test this on a live environment because that is what we are trying to improve, is the live server experience. And there's a lot more people, and it's different than the PTS.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a broader chance to get a lot more people. Also, when we're doing this, we're going to be closing all the rest of the campaigns. We're only going to have the one open.
And it's a short test.
Yeah,
That's what
just
we're
during
saying,
this
right?
test period.
It's also just 1 week that we're doing. Right now, we're slating the end of March. Obviously, we're going to put up a post that says, hey, this is the duration. Passionates will have information about all this as well. But, again, we're trying to do the functionality test first because when you zone into here, obviously you can see your skills are different, but your inventory and your stats, all that is templatized. Not in the templates that people are used to when they hop on PTS. So this is going to be, your stats are normalized, your gear is what we give you, and don't worry, your gear doesn't disappear. When you leave Cyrodiil, you get all your gear back.
This is
Which
just the idea of giving you gear and
Yes.
skills to use in Cyrodiil.
Yes. So, and you can still have, you can still swap out, what gears you're using. But none of this stuff goes with you. And you can see even here, my item sets do not impact my stats. I don't get my item sets. I don't get my Mundus. I don't get any of that stuff. So,
Right.
and again, this is all in favor of performance. We're trying
And
to
only
make
a test.
calculations as
Right.
simple. Yes, and it is a test. We're going to reiterate that. Now, where we go with the test, we're going to be asking everybody for feedback. How'd you feel about the test? Did you, find bigger battles? Did you have a good time with the different
Was it
types
more
of
fun?
abilities?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The fact that when you see a Templar, you know exactly what you're getting. When you see an Arcanist, you know exactly what you're getting. Everybody's the same archetype of that class as well. So there's lots of interesting aspects to this that we're looking forward to seeing the feedback that we get. But also, again, similar to how we looked at metrics in the past, we're going to be looking at our server performance. We're going to see how it's reacting in coordination with the population. And then we're going to make our decisions from there. But this is really, really exciting because this is an entirely different test than we've done in the past. Like, we haven't done ultra simplified abilities, really tackling the pardon the usage of the word, the crux of the issue, which is how much math is going through the server. And I think that this will be very, very telling, and we're going to have a lot of good things to do after we get this test out of the way.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have more information on the website and on the forums when the test is starting. Again, what our goals are, what we're looking for, what we would like to see you all do. But yeah, it's essentially kind of turning into a game of skill, right? When everyone just has, the same everything here. And like Wheeler said a bunch of times, this is a test. Like, what was that old thing on TV? Like, this is a test. This is only a test. Like,
This is only a test.
yeah, this is not, definitively how we're moving forward with Cyrodiil. And we just need to gather up a whole bunch of data and see, what's the result from all of this. So, again,
it's one in a series of tests we've done.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
to
a lot
echo
different
things-
than, what we've done before. And that's kind of the start of, how this year is going to go. We're just going to try some different things here. So,
the other thing to bear in mind with this too is there will be XP and AP bonuses while this is going on. And you'll see that you're earning XP and AP, but we want to incentivize people for helping us out with this test, obviously. So that's why we're giving AP bonuses and XP bonuses while this event is active for that week.
Yeah. And again,
Other than that,
as
like,
Wheeler mentioned, right as he was starting, that we're going to be doing sort of like a functionality test the second week of PTS. So
Yes.
next week it's just kind of business as usual in terms of Cyrodiil, right? On PTS.
yeah, it should just be standard issue, Blackreach, hop on. But yeah, this version of Cyrodiil, again, it's tied purely to the quote the Vengeance campaign. I don't know why. Maybe I watched Batman the day before. It was just, I am Vengeance. I was like, sure, let's call it that. But I mean, obviously, we worded all of the abilities to be really super clear. Like this is a test ability that's only useful in this Cyrodiil. I didn't just want to call it a test. I want to give it a little bit of spice,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and again, like uh, the gear that you have, none of it's going to leave with you. But we did make some alterations to like the siege weaponry where you don't pack the siege weaponry up anymore. It's just infinite weaponry.
Mm.
Same thing with like the potion. It's an infinite potion. Again, all this is in service of performance as much as possible and trying to still have the experience be, mass combat Cyrodiil, as many people thrown in there beating the crap out of each other. So it's going to be wild. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, like, on PTS, we usually don't get a high population on PTS, which again, to echo that question, why are we doing this on live is because that's where we have the highest population. And that's where we want to try and get the most accurate data to what
Right.
people actually experience. So we're going to reiterate over and over that this is a test, and this will help inform us where we go with Cyrodiil going forward.
Yep. As we expected, there are a lot of great questions in chat, and I think what we'll do is we'll have more information in the patch notes when this
Yep.
goes out on the PTS and then also on live, and hopefully they will
Mhm.
answer a lot of your questions ahead of the test.
Yep. Yep. And again, the functionality for PTS, like hop in, make sure siege weaponry works the way you think it should work. Make sure that using your abilities, like the abilities are going to be highly modified. Like
Mhm.
like healing abilities, you will need to target your allies and stuff like that, or things which had lingering effects on the ground. Probably not going to do that anymore. Again, this is all in service of performance and trying to make sure that abilities are as performant as they possibly can, while still giving you the flavor of your class, while still having that familiar animations and effects and vibe to it. There'll be some alterations out there, but again, it's all in favor of trying to get the best performance possible out there.
Yeah.
Yep. And we are looking forward to seeing what everybody says after you have a chance to try it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be crazy, but it'll
It's
be a lot
different.
of fun out there. Yes, yeah, and like you guys said, 2025, we're trying new stuff. We're trying things that we normally don't do. The only time I can think of anything we did remotely close to this was like the light attack, heavy attack testing we did on PTS several years ago, where we were like, let's try out some entirely different way of doing light attack and heavy attack. Where that we could get the information we needed from PTS. Where with this, like where we need en masse battles, like we're not going to get that on PTS. We will get that on live. So that again explains why we're doing functionality first on PTS and then looking at actual hard data when this gets for the week that it's going to run.
Yep. For the test itself, I saw someone asking where they can give feedback. I think on PTS, we're going to have a dedicated forum thread on the PTS forums for that. I believe you can probably give some feedback in game as well. And then for the live test, I know we're talking about some different options, including the potential for a survey.
Very much.
Yep.
Cool. So we got for now. I don't want to spoil too much out there. Let people get out there and have some fun. And if everybody has questions, we'll be ready to answer them as best as we can.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thanks, Wheels.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Catch
looking
everybody
forward
around.
to checking everything out in a couple weeks.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Okay, so that's it for that one. Before I get too much into my reaction, what I want to do is I want to jump over here because sometimes the website can actually give more information too that they didn't talk about. So let's just get right into the Champions Test campaign. Update 45 introduces the early stages of the new Cyrodiil Champions Test PvP campaign, which apparently they called Vengeance, which is funny to me. When playing a Cyrodiil Champions campaign, you and your fellow players are locked to a specific class build, including abilities, attributes, and items. This test allows us to monitor how the server reacts to simplified abilities, with the goal being to collect data and help us plan for the future of Cyrodiil and abilities. During this test, 7 set Cyrodiil champion classes are available, and access to some features are blocked, including crown store provisions, items not included in the class templates, and more. During a Cyrodiil Champions campaign, all competitors are at equal power levels. It all comes down to skill. Well, first off, I want to say that honestly, just bring on the tests. You know, I mean, they've said for many, many years. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of this, but they have said for, God, I want to say it's been since at least 2018, maybe even before that the biggest problem that they've had with pinpointing a lot of the Cyrodiil problems is they can't duplicate it internally. One, they don't have the staff, to do it. And then two, even with bots, it was hard for them to duplicate any sort of issues because, well, I mean, literally they're in the headquarters. So they have servers in the building. So obviously they're not going to run into the same things. And also, something they didn't mention too is add-ons. They probably don't have many add-ons running like we do, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but a lot of our add-ons do actually impact performance. I don't know. My first reaction is I really do hope people test. I can already see people kind of like going there and they're like, well, what do you mean the campaign shut down? Because I think one thing I want to say, they said no other campaigns. They're going to shut down the other campaigns to ensure that they get a good test. And I'm like, do they mean the PTS or do they mean live? Because some people might get salty about that. To which I say, get over it. If you love, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that. If you want Cyrodiil to be fixed, test this. I'm a PvPer too. I love PvP. So many of my memories in this game are from PvP. 2014 to like 2019, just amazing memories in PvP. And I would love to create more. So, but lately I haven't really jumped into Cyrodiil. The last time I jumped into Cyrodiil was honestly to do some Golden Pursuits. That was it. I mean, honestly, it was just to finish that. But I don't really jump in anymore. And this gives me a reason because I want to, I think I've done most of the tests. Because I want Cyrodiil fixed. I think they do too. It just might not have been a priority for them, or like Matt Forrest said in his letter, due to deadlines, they had other focuses. So maybe they weren't able to work on it as much as they wanted to. Because it is such a big problem and it does take up so much time. You never know. It could be something as simple as that. So I'm going to put my disappointment and what anger I have towards Zos and not being able to fix Cyrodiil, and I'm going to say, okay, well, let's bring on this test. Let's do it. And let's gather up data. Let's fix this. Or at least get it to the point where we're not all frustrated by the lag. Maybe there's still a little lag, right? But it's just kind of like, oh, lagging a little bit. Okay, we're good. If they can get it to even that, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I think we all need to get in on this. We do. Now, I want to take a look at what they were doing with these abilities. Let's see. I don't know if I can pinpoint when he had his abilities up.
That's why we're giving AP bonuses and XP bonuses while this event is active for that week.
All right, on PTS.
But I mean, obviously, we worded.
Okay, focus charge. Charge with your divine lance to impale an enemy to deal 6,300 magic damage. Now, the one thing I also want to mention is, man, I really hope that those stats. You guys notice when I did this on the screen, I'm not sure if you saw it. I hope those stats are just because of internal server. If we're all running around with 70k health, that's going to be absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's not going to go well for a test.
Did all of the
Ah, damn, I didn't pause it. Let's see. Vengeance, Sun Shield, summon the warmth of sun to surround you and the closest two group members, generating a damage shield that absorbs 13k. Now, I wouldn't take those values at that absorbs up to X damage for 6 seconds. Okay, so I mean, they are very simplified. They literally only do one thing. Like, there's your shield. Shards is, I don't know what shards is, probably the buff. Charges is damage, javelin's just a knockback, and strikes is just damage, and that's it. Okay. I mean, it's gonna be really interesting. I mean, this might be the way to go. Now, I don't know if anybody has played Lobby back in the day. I did. And I am twice there. Honestly, kind of proud of it. I know you're gonna say you're proud of emping and Lobby. I am. Honestly, I am. I'm very busy, and there was no way I was gonna do it in any other campaign. It's just I'm just too busy in my life. But one thing I could say about Lobby back then is a lot of us went there because we were tired of the lag in PvP. And the one place that we could get good, decent sized battles, honestly, I mean, I've run into Lobby and it's been at 2 bars. This was back in probably 2019 or so. And it was like 2 bars and in all alliances. And you're running to a keep. And I remember one fight we had. It was the last M keep for someone else, not me. I think it was EP because I was EP at the time. And it was the last defense. It was Chalman. And there was a full group of EP there. It was probably 12 of us plus some randos, so probably maybe like 16, 17, 18 of us there, all fighting. And then, AD showed up, probably a full 20 plus. Then DC showed up again, probably a full 20 plus. And none of us were lagging at all. I'm not even kidding you. It's the reason why we played there. It's because we can get good battles and no lag. And what was the difference? Well, I mean, this was before you could buy guild slots. This is before so there was no Dawnbreaker. There was no Meteor. A lot of the abilities that we had were, a lot of the times people didn't have Sun Shield. I mean, they had maybe the 3rd, maybe 4th ability unlocked because there was leveling, and it was just different. It was just very, very different. Even sets that we all ran were all different because you didn't have dungeon sets, you didn't have trial sets, you didn't have monster sets. It was just basically like 99% crafted. And it just worked. The servers didn't have to calculate as much, I guess. And it just worked. I don't know. Lobby's not the same anymore. And I pretty much spend most of my time, if I PvP, in Greyhost. But anyway, I don't know. Like, I'm going to be testing it. I will say the first thing I'm going to do when the PTS goes live is I'm going to jump in. And I'm gonna jump in, well, during the second week anyway. I'm gonna jump into Vengeance and I'll look up every ability and I'll give it, maybe it will be a sneak peek. Hopefully they'll, maybe if they tweak it afterwards, whatever, but I don't know. See, like right here, let's see. Where was it? Oh yeah, this was puncturing strikes. Striking enemies in front of you 3 times with your Adric Spear, dealing 4x magic damage to the closest nearby enemies. Okay. And if you saw, he has some other sets, but they're all redded out right here. See, disabled by Vengeance. So the only thing he has is precise, and then this here. That's it. So it's interesting. I mean, I can already see the bugs though, right? Can't you? Can't you see the bugs with this where people exit and things are still disabled? You know, or worse, they lose the gear. That'd be insane. I hope that stuff doesn't happen because this test needs to go off well. I really, really, in my opinion, I've seen people, on the forums and in chat and thinking that, well, the PvP tests are bullshit. And I'm like, they wouldn't be spending time on it. If the tests are bullshit, they would not spend their time and effort doing it. Because it is time and effort, whether you think of it or not. They have to actually take time, have developers work on these tests, have them create conditions so these tests even work. We're talking hours upon hours upon hours of work over bullshit. They're not going to do that. No business is going to do that. We need to, and to be perfectly blunt before I end the video, I want to say, if you don't test it, if you purposely avoid it, saying I'm not going to do it, I don't think you have a right to complain about Cyrodiil then. Now, if you can't test it because you're busy, okay, well, I mean, that's life. I mean, whatever. Pretty sure I won't test it every day at the end of March when it's in there. I'll probably do only 2 or 3 days. But, I don't know. Are you excited? I'm excited about it, honestly, because I want Cyrodiil fixed, and I think this is a good step. And even if it doesn't work, if they go, well, this isn't the way we're going to go, they still gather data. And I think that's important. And they said they're going to work on it, but they say they're going to work on it every year. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'll take I'll take the XP, I'll take the AP, and I'll take the fun. I mean, I loved the population cap increase that they did a while back. That was so fun, honestly. Even though it was still laggy, God, the battles were fun. But they got data, and maybe got data this time. That'd be really cool. So anyway, part 2 is going to be, as I check my notes here, the base game features. So I'll be getting into that during part 2. And then part 3, which I think I just said, part 2 is going to be base game features. Part 3 is going to be basically the rest, which is housing, dungeons, etc. The housing and dungeons one video will probably be a little longer. But anyway, keep an eye out for those. Thank you for watching. Thank you for 100 subscribers. That's awesome. Absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next video. As always.